Dock of the Bay?
Yeah.
Awesome. That's a classic, man.
And it looks like are you close to a bay? Is that water I see in the background?
It is water, so it's a lake.
I just realized that, dude.
It's a lake. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes,
and
absolutely. Well, I'm in Houston.
Kind of, not exactly a bay, but
no, a little smaller than a bay. Well, actually, a lot smaller than a bay. So,
well, don't they have small bays? They have small bays.
You could have a small bay. Yeah, that's true. That's a good point. Why not?
Yes. I know. I'm committing sacrilege here by actually wearing a button down.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on, man. You're getting all fancy on me.
I actually have to go in to a client site. So
wow.
This is my as close to business attire as I'm willing to get.
Are you going to wear a sport coat?
About all I can fit in.
Yeah, I know that feeling.
So much weight. I mean, Mobile World Congress took its toll, and I'm still living with it. The toil.
It did. Yeah, no, we had fun.
Yeah,
that was good.
It was great.
Absolutely. I will be actually heading out your way in the next couple of weeks, actually.
Really? So you are going to come out this way? Awesome.
Absolutely. So I'm in Houston, Texas right now, but let's see, not this week, but at the very end of next week.
Perfect timing.
I'll start driving to California from Texas, and I will arrive in San Diego. That's whatever the Saturday is, April, whatever. Not this Saturday, but the next Saturday.
Oh, man.
Yes. And then we're going to be camping out. We rented a house up in La Jolla for a week.
No way, you're in my neighborhood.
Actually, awesome. I'm kidding. We're staying in Laguna Beach.
Laguna.
We rented a house in Laguna Beach, so we'll be there for a week. So
wow.
But I'm in your neighborhood. I'll come by, hang out.
Ish.
Yeah. We'll make it happen. And I'm driving separately, so even after the family thing is over, I still got my car and I'll be in SoCal, so I can come back down and hang out or whatever.
Oh, cool. Yeah, let's definitely do that. What's up? How's it going, Marc?
Finally, I made it happen. Can you hear me well?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, we can hear you and everything else that's going on around you.
Yeah, sorry, a lot of noise. Learning. Sorry.
Yeah, we were just talking about how much weight I gained in Barcelona, and I'm still trying to work it off, but it's not happening all that well.
It's not happening.
I still haven't got to all the pings I got during the Mobile Congress at Valena. So IoT Star. So. But it was good. It was positive for you, coming to Barcelona on a business point of view. Or?
Yeah, big time.
Absolutely, that was good. That was good.
And here's the really great thing. I didn't hear of many people coming down with COVID or having to be quarantined. I mean, if there were some people, the number was so small that I didn't hear about it at all. So
honestly, I knew about something got positive and attended IoT Stars. So got tested positive the day after the IoT Stars.
Really?
Luckily, it didn't affect anyone that I know. So I don't know anyone else, but so this person didn't get sick on the IoT Star. But nobody else got sick, so that was awesome.
Okay. Because we were being quite festive. Hey, what's up, Bill?
Hey.
What's up?
Not
All right,
much.
all right.
Yeah, we're just talking about how I gained a lot of weight and I can't get it off, and I don't fit in any of my clothes. And I'm flying to DC next week, and apparently I have to wear a suit. And wow, I haven't worn a suit in a really long time.
Hey, you better just go buy a new one, man. Men's Warehouse.
I might have to, or I do the minimum viable product or the minimum viable attire. So I'm gonna try to sneak under the radar and maybe get by with a blazer and slacks and
do the Bay Area thing, man. Just wear a t-shirt, a blazer, and jeans.
Yeah. You know what? Innovation should have nothing to do with a suit.
No,
right?
I'm telling you. It absolutely shouldn't. It absolutely shouldn't. I never conformed in any way, shape, or form at all. I would walk into board meetings with overalls, a hoodie, and a ball cap.
Boom.
Oh, see that's gangster right there. That's awesome.
I love it.
Man.
I love it.
I want to be like friggin' Ray Wong, dude. I just want to walk in with his he has his jacket that has constellation on it, and that he wears that everywhere. It doesn't matter whether or not it's a black tie event. The dude just like rolls in with his shtick, his like trademark look. That's, but you gotta either you either have to buy something really unique, like Jensen Huang, CEO of NVIDIA. He has that leather jacket.
He always wears a leather jacket. Yeah.
Like that's literally the same leather jacket. Either he only has one leather jacket, or his entire closet is filled with replicas, digital, physical twins of that same jacket.
Could be.
And the digital. He has a digital version as well, or at least the digital model.
Right.
Actually, you transported me to my first job interview with one of these big companies developing services for other companies that I will not mention the name. And actually, one of the constraints to work there was to go to wear a suit. But another question that they made me during the interview was, okay, would you cut your hair to join our company? And at that point, I was like, what the hell is this? I have to cut my hair to work here. That's insane.
Wow.
Yeah, that's
my personal trademark.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, that is. That's your hoodie. But actually, you're double. You're like innovation times 2, because you have a hoodie and you have long hair, and then you have all that facial stuff going on too. So that's maybe you're triple.
Innovation happens while wearing a t-shirt.
Yeah, exactly. Or usually it's either when you're asleep or on the toilet.
I could have gone all day without hearing that, but okay.
Well, come on. We keep it real. We tell it like it is. Come on. Seriously.
You could have said, well, in the shower, it came to me. And I invented the digital thread while I was, shampooing or something. I don't know. Wow.
We won't go where we could go with that. No. But in the shower, we sing. Sing. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Hey, so maybe that's a good thing to talk about, because lately on the Next Curve, Rethink podcast that I do, I've invited a bunch of people on, and we're talking about like leadership and innovation, right, at a macro level or an economic level. But maybe you guys want to talk about like innovation and what it means in IoT, because we like to use that term quite a bit. Right? It's like, oh yeah, I'm innovative, or our company is innovative, or even worse, oh, our company is disruptive, right? What the hell does all this mean? Because I've encountered so many companies that have self-proclaimed that they're disruptive and innovative, and they're no longer with us.
But it starts with that though. You have to believe that yourself first.
Sure.
You have to.
I can already tell this is going to be a really interesting conversation.
Bill is right. You have to do just like Steve Jobs and create a reality distortion field around you and the people you're working with, because you have to believe and they have to believe It's important. I've often found that the best founders are a little bit naive and they don't know something can't be done yet. If you've been around the block too much, I've seen you're too smart. You've heard talking about the beginner's mind and the expert's mind. In the beginner's mind, all things are possible. In the expert's mind, oh, it can't be done. Everybody's already doing it. There's this problem. There's this reason, that reason why you can't do it. And they self-sabotage. And so it's important, like Bill said, you've got to believe and you got to keep that beginner's mind. And part of it is thinking, as crazy as it sounds, I'm the only person working on this or something like that, or I've got a chance.
Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of like vanity plates, right?
Yes.
It's like vanity plates. I mean, my license plate on my car says innovator. That's what it says.
Boom.
There you go.
And do I believe I'm innovative? Absolutely.
Oh yeah.
Until somebody proves me otherwise.
You know what? Maybe that's the whole thing, because it's hard to tell oftentimes it's difficult to tell what's already been done or what's being worked on, and so that mindset, you're right. Especially if you want to come to the market with something that you think is new, you need to have that belief. Otherwise, you're just going to, someone else is doing it. And then it just becomes a question of, do I want to do it better than someone else who I think is doing the same thing, the same innovative thing that I thought I was going to invest my time in?
Yeah. What is the definition of innovation?
Yeah.
Do we know? It's like from Wikipedia or something like that,
And I would ask another question before. What's the difference between research and development department and innovation department?
Good. That's a good question. Yeah.
The innovation department does not have to deliver anything.
No. Sorry, dude. I didn't mean to respond like that, but the innovation department should deliver something new to the market. I mean, the way I look at it, and I do a lot of work in this area, is R&D. It translates basically science into technology, right? And then innovation is about applying technologies and applications, right, that actually deliver some form of good, right? Technology in and of itself doesn't do anything, right? You have to apply technology. And so that's sort of the way that I look at stuff. And so when you look at R&D dollars is usually to build.
So you mean that technology is not science?
No, it's derived from science, right? It's applied science. It's figuring out, hey, this is how gravity works. So let's figure out let's figure out how to make what sort of technologies we need to serve a certain need. The laws of physics, right? I mean, that those are sciences, and so things like friction, gravity, blah blah blah, all these natural things. Developing the technologies that can either, work with these things or against them, so that you have, a certain capability that you didn't have before, right? And that's what technologies are.
I'm going to read the definition from Wikipedia.
Yeah, Wikipedia, the source of all truth.
Yes, innovation is the practical implementation of ideas that result in the introduction of new goods or services, or improvement in offering goods or services.
There. That's awesome.
So you got some ideas and you're going to implement them, and it could be something new, or it could just be an improvement on something you already got.
Yep.
That doesn't sound that exciting. It could be if it's something brand new. Because innovation. And I've heard this before. They used to bash Microsoft because Microsoft used to update. People are like, Microsoft's updating Wikipedia to say that whatever lame thing they were barely doing, it was innovation. At some point, I totally remember this. People can go in and change Wikipedia.
Yeah.
but I've heard that before, that innovation can also just be incremental improvements over an existing thing, which doesn't feel disruptive. But it can be something totally new. So if you're on TechCrunch Disrupt on stage, typically you need to be just like, here's this new mind-boggling thing. But I guess it could be a better mousetrap too.
Yeah, I mean, so what do you guys think disruption is then? I mean, everyone intermingles disruption with innovation, or they try to use that term to qualify maybe a degree of innovation or a variety of innovation. What do you guys think? Are you guys disruptive?
I've been disruptive for a long time. Just ask my wife.
And she's the only market that counts. Mind share. She's the only mind share that counts. Oh, jeez.
I love it.
No, I mean, I struggle with it. I struggle with that. I mean, like I said, in my mind, innovation. And if you said, what's the difference between an innovation group and an R&D group, right?
Yeah.
I look at an innovation group, and I'm like, you guys should be thinking 3 to 5 years ahead, if not 5 to 10 years ahead, and working out all of those technical details that the R&D group is going to take and implement and bring it to market. There's a handoff that happens. Because some of your best innovators are not the best at delivering things.
Right. No, it's just that
I work the other way around, Bill, actually. So the research and development departments where I work, actually they were getting the state of the art, of the product or the service that we were delivering, and just trying to build something that was after the state of the art, right? So like creating something really new on that space. And then actually on the timeline, you see that state of the art is like 3-5 years from now. Mm-hmm. And then the innovation department was about to get like the new technology that was already on the market or was new in the market, and building. So the research department was building prototypes with that 3 to 5 year old, 3 to 5 year technology in the future. But innovation was more like, okay, what's the next thing that the development team or the engineering team will need to develop? So we do proof of concepts. So we show them this is possible, and then someone will decide if this goes to the roadmap of the engineering team or not. This is at least my experience.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of it boils down to semantics, but the thing is if you look at an R&D group, I mean, you're really like, for instance, a company like Qualcomm has deep R&D in 5G technologies or mobile wireless technologies, right? And so they work through the 3GPP to not only develop the technical specs and define the interface, they then have separate groups that are more on the innovation side, where they channel this technology that they're developing, and then they start to develop chips and modems, RF components and stuff like that they then sell through and commercialize through their Snapdragon and chip organizations, right? That chip side of the business. So they have IP, R&D generates IP, and then on the other side, with the innovation stuff, which is applying this technology, they have the chip group, which does a lot of the end market, enables a lot of the end market innovation, whether it's like all the AI stuff that they do. And, obviously Intel has the same stuff. There's a lot of companies that have, true R&D groups that create new technologies. I think most organizations have innovation groups, right? So product development groups that develop products based on technologies, and then they figure out applications that can enable new services or new products.
And some companies have something we call innovation theater.
Is that like Dream Theater? Is that like, progressive heavy metal?
the company is talking a good game about how innovative they are, and they may have some kind of thing internally, and they're telling Wall Street about this, but it's really innovation theater. It's not real. There's a lot of companies.
They're acting like they're innovating.
They are. There's a lot of companies pretending to be innovators, and they actually don't really do anything, but they have to talk a good game because the outside world needs to hear that or whatever. When I think of disruption, you could make the case, everyone's going to hate me for this. So you were talking about 3GPP. And so following this standards body, and you're going to 4G LTE, and then you go to 5G and all that kind of stuff. You could make the case that those are actually all just incremental improvements, and it's all a big consortium deal. Yeah. And then you could say the disruptor in that communication space might be Elon Musk with Starlink and nanosatellites. I'm always a big believer, just because I think all of us have been in the tech space for so long, that there's I believe in the notion of barbarians at the gate. Yeah. And that somebody you've never heard of is working on something that's going to completely blow up your entire whatever, your market. Yeah. And so, people talk about, like, we saw the ridiculousness at Mobile World Congress of 6G and people talking about that. What if 6G is Starlink and we just don't know it yet? I'm serious. You have to think about that, because
this is disruption. You just described disruption. Because that will disrupt the market, actually, and that will kill this telco consortium.
Yes. Because, obviously I worked at one of those companies. It's got a zillion engineers working on this new specs. And if I would ask them what they're doing in 10 years, they would tell me, we're working on 6G. And I said, did it ever occur to you that all
or 7G?
Yeah. Did it ever occur to you that your plans that you think you're working on in a linear fashion might be completely blown apart by something you never saw coming? Yeah, and they're like, of course not. Of course not. It'll always work out the way it has. And I go, well, that's not how I was raised.
Nokia probably had to schedule the Nokia 9999, right? So,
yes.
On the pipeline for 2020, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And so, how you've heard the phrase, the future is actually already here, but it's not evenly distributed. And so, and I think that's a real thing. And I think you can find pockets of the future in different places, but it's not everywhere. It's not pervasive. Yeah. And who gets it and who doesn't get it is based on all kinds of factors. But it's, what do people want? What do they want? They want more data, faster data to move communications, data, video, whatever. If you step back and say, that's what I want in this world, in communications, well, then you should be able to step back and say, well, how do I accomplish that? And it doesn't have to live inside 3GPP. Some people can say, well, I just figured out a new algorithm or a new whatever, or a new technology, and I'm going to blow this place apart. Yeah. And it achieves the goal. Because what do we hear? The ridiculousness around 6G. Oh, we're going to have to go beyond millimeter wave to terahertz. Yeah. Well, guess what? Millimeter wave is almost dead on arrival. I see some people go to NFL football games and they're doing, look, I got 1.5 gigabit down when I was looking right at the microcell, but as far as pervasive, the future being evenly distributed, it's absolutely not. Yeah. If you're lucky enough to get some mid-band where you live, you might get some love. Yeah. And so if the millimeter wave isn't blowing up the whole planet, I don't know how terahertz is going to blow up the planet. I think that's completely wrong thinking. I think we need to go back to the drawing board on that one.
Well, here's the one thing about terahertz, though. It works pretty well up in space. So your whole point about, Starlink being sort of this disruptive infrastructure, the SATCOM stuff with the LEOs, and, terahertz has some...
They're not using terahertz
there, but you could just use lasers. Lasers are probably a hell of a lot faster.
That's all I need is sharks with freaking laser beams attached to their heads. Actually, I put a laser on the moon and we called it the Death Star.
Death Star.
Actually, a couple of days ago, I had a call with a satellite company, Leo Satellites, that they were doing NB-IoT over satellite. So if you didn't have coverage, NB-IoT coverage in the terrestrial coverage, I don't know how to call it, you were able to use the satellite NB-IoT communication without any specific hardware on your device.
That's cool.
The concept is cool, but the presentation looked like 2015 IoT presentation. Top-down approach, and
Interesting.
And then I'm not sure about the business model.
Doesn't our good friend Luke? Aren't they doing something around like LoRa and satellites?
I think they use LoRa, right? Instead of NB-IoT.
Yeah,
but most of the satellites use LoRa, right?
So, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean that makes sense because NB-IoT is a cellular technology, right? I mean it's
because there's a certain different bands that satellites use just traditionally over the years, and then certain bands, and we should probably get better versed on this. How are we sending messages to the moon? Right. Or deep space satellites, or probes, or how do we talk to Mars? I'm sure we can look it up on the interwebs and find out what kind of communications protocol and frequency they're using to communicate with the lander on Mars. There's probably some good insights there. But
sure. So there are like 4 antennas in the world. There is. So in the same latitude, I guess, and then in 4 places. So there is always in the 24 hours coverage, and they are super huge. There is one in Madrid, and I don't know the other places, but there is a lot of information. I asked this question to people expert on that, and they use those antennas to communicate with the Voyagers or ships that are even farther, and they use. Those technologies, it's a really interesting topic. But it's being solved, I guess, with these 4 antennas all around the world.
That's cool. Yes, didn't the original, was it Voyager 1? Is it out in interstellar space now?
Voyager
outside Voyager. Remember how Spock was so surprised when he found out that the communication from Beeger was, he looked at Captain, he goes, radio. It's like, what the hell's radio? We're in the 23rd century. But
we're using subspace communications. What are you talking about?
It was still using radio,
like
and you had to scrub off all the dirt on the side of the satellite to realize that it was actually Voyager and not Beeger. So lots of stuff that you learn there, kids, today.
Always carry around a little spray bottle of, Windex and a little,
just so you can find out that the satellite really came from Earth and it's not
really dealing with
sentient intelligence from some other universe or anything like that.
It's amazing that he remembers that movie. Most people.
What else do we have going for us? Why are we in the business we're in? It's because we're total sci-fi techno geek.
There you go. Yeah, totally.
Slacker hackers.
Yeah.
Whatever, but we're here to blow up everything.
But Boom. You know what? Talking about innovation, or at least visionary, being a visionary. Gene Roddenberry was amazing. You know that the whole idea of subspace communications, right, is very similar to the idea of quantum teleportation. It's amazing how this guy thought of like everything. I mean, I don't know if he thought about everything, but I mean, the communicators are today's sat phone, right?
Could we not all agree that the speed of light is too slow, and therefore current communication is not sufficient because we have to wait however many minutes or hours, depending how far away you are, to get the message back. And even lasers would still not be any faster than the speed of light. So what do we have to do? We have to take advantage of quantum entanglement and the spooky magic at a distance and use that for communication. So I change my atom here and I do something silly here that's communication, and the other side instantly changes. Yeah. And that's our new 2 tin cups or Dixie cups with string. Yeah. Except now it's a tesseract, and we've bent the string.
Stargate.
Yeah. So we got to, if nobody else is working on that stuff, IoT Coffee Talk geniuses are going to start working on that. Yeah,
How do you know that?
I don't know. I don't know.
Oh, you signed an NDA and you cannot tell that, right?
Yeah, he can't.
Yes, I was just over in New Mexico at Los Alamos, working in Oppenheimer's old laboratory, and they had some weird atoms floating around.
Yeah.
I might have gotten some radiation. I don't know.
You know what this means is that we're going to be spending a lot of time on the toilet. At least Rob is going to be taking a lot of showers because this is going to take a lot of innovative thinking. I'm sorry, guys.
We've already had the thought. You have the thought. We just came up with the idea. You have to think it. You have to say it out loud. You have to write it down, and then you get to work.
Yeah.
And we'll see you in about 150 years when we got it figured out.
Yeah, exactly. And that we by then we should have the tools to actually make a lot of this stuff happen. But which is
tools, by the way, another thing.
Us. Yeah, I mean, yeah. Rick talks about that a lot, right? It's like sometimes, actually, we need the tools to be able to do that next step in a lot of areas, right? And that's even true with 5G. You need to have the testing. You need to have the testing equipment that can measure these frequencies, sample rates, and if you don't have those tools, you just can't develop a lot of these.
But luckily, with our new quantum IoT platform, we entangle the thing with the digital twin, and they're entangled by quantum, and so they do the spooky magic at a distance, and so we have instantaneous knowledge of everything over this new transport.
Yeah. It's going to be amazing.
But even before it happens, right? Because it happens at the same. Faster than the light speed, right?
So, that's right. They're going to make a movie about us. It's going to be like The Right Stuff.
Actually, we will have an episode calling "What is real time?" It's disruptive time. It's faster than real time.
It's called before time. And so that's where we need prescriptive and predictive. That's before time analytics, right?
Yes. Before the dinosaurs were here.
Right? That's like Superman going around, flying around in reverse around the planet to turn back time so that he can save Lois Lane from that earthquake thingy.
If I could turn back time.
Exactly. Or was it to save Cher?
Yes. I'm not going to do my Cher impersonation, but it is really good.
Actually, that gives me an idea. Maybe next week we'll do that song.
Yeah.
That song and you can sing.
Exactly.
It'll be horrific.
I mean, it's not too long ago that this is where we were.
Never forget.
Oh, never forget. Oh,
there it is.
Oh, no way. Remember that.
I love that. That's
right.
Dude, that's beautiful. That's beautiful.
It's not too long ago.
It wasn't.
But what lesson learned do you have from that? What lesson learned? Because maybe we can apply that to IoT as well.
Yeah.
Analog is good.
Floppy disk IoT. Just like when we were having our little discussion.
Was right. At the time, when you went from 5 1/4 down to 3 1/2, and then all of a sudden CD-ROM, and
we were
innovating.
You were listening to a new CD with Thomas Dolby or something, and it felt like futuristic, and it's like, whoa, oh my God. Bill and I went from arguing about either Dolby B or Dolby C or DBX, and then we jumped right to CDs, and we're just like, what? No tubes? No, where's the stylus?
That's so funny.
Blinding you with science.
Exactly.
Well, you want to talk about an industry that really did undergo quite a bit of disruption or disruptive events. That's really one, right? The music
audio,
and music distribution, media, audio.
Yeah.
But going back to this topic of disruption, what's disruption? How's it differ from innovation? It really, I think the way I look at it, disruption is an outcome. You can never claim that you're disruptive. The judge and the thing that determines whether or not you're disruptive is the market, right? So these folks that have zero market share, zero mind share going around, their marketing groups going around saying we're disruptive, blah, blah, blah. I mean, to the
That's
CMOs
marketing.
out there and the PR agencies, those are serious eye rollers. Don't ever do that unless you can claim that your product, your service actually changed the market, which you probably can't if you're a startup. Just, I think.
But what if you're on the stage at TechCrunch Disrupt and it's Hooli versus Pied Piper to see who's got the best compression, and then the new Pied Piper compression can compress 3D video and blows everything away? Is that disruption?
No, not yet. It's
Okay.
you know what? There's a new term. So there's innovation, and then between disruption and innovation is friggin' awesomeness. So there's that
disruption-
whole concept.
Do we think disruption is when there's lots of crude terms about like how you have to disrupt yourself or someone else will? People would also
Somebody made
say,
it up. Yeah.
people would say you have to eat your own babies. Have you heard that? Or you have to kill
No,
your
but that sounds really
or you have to
disgusting.
kill your darlings, or there's all kinds of phrases that mean the same thing.
What kind
But
of
it
groups are you
basically
hanging
is.
around?
But it basically means that you've got to just neutron bomb whatever your amazing thing is, or someone else will, aka Blockbuster Video and Netflix.
Yes.
Boom.
Yes.
That's
Yes.
what it is. That's what it is.
Netflix disrupted the world.
Yes.
Not
Yes.
just a market, the world.
That's exactly right. And guess what? As it turns out, Blockbuster Video was actually working on something like that. But you know what? They felt it wasn't the right time, and they were making so much money on late fees from
Yeah.
VHS tapes that they said, we're going to ride this thing right into the ground. And then before you know it, you wake up and you're 6 feet under. You're dead. Someone disrupted you. And so I think maybe that's what disruption is, when you just completely blow apart the paradigm altogether. You didn't make it just a little better. You didn't have a faster horse.
Yeah.
You got a car.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
What do you think,
And-
Stephanie?
I agree. No,
All right.
I disagree with Leonard on the disruption thing. I think disruption can be a lot of things, but innovation is very different than disruption. So that I do agree with. But disruption is a brand new business model. Someone's doing it cheaper, faster, better, and the customers just leave in an instant, turning the industry upside down, inside out, changing the way you deliver goods, or the experience that you're providing is so different and unique that it's not necessarily innovative. Maybe there are other industries doing the same exact thing, but you're doing something that can completely take out market share. And when you're taking out market share, that's disruptive, because you're shutting down businesses. You're
That's
shutting
what
down.
I just said, though. You're not disruptive until you've actually done something. But anyone can say that we do it cheaper, faster, better, but it's not always the case that either is true, or they can actually execute or go to market with a business model that does that. And it's hard for any of us to predict what is actually disruptive until it's actually happened. Like what happened with Netflix and blockbusters, like you guys are saying. The business model was pretty clear, right? And what they were doing, even though it was a gradual disruption, you could see what was happening, because Blockbuster was really struggling as a legacy player.
Generally something that if you can predict it, it's not really considered disruptive, right? Because just from a characteristic perspective, if you could see it coming, it's not necessarily disruptive seems a little bit more instantaneous, or something that's happening faster that changes the way the market is operating.
Thermonuclear.
Right? No, nuclear. Let's not use that word in these times today. But
but the thing that you could claim was disruptive about Netflix is no late fees, and what was really even more disruptive than than all the stuff that they did with streaming, because a lot of people attribute streaming with how Netflix really took Blockbuster to town. It's like they didn't have any late fees, and you can rent people I don't think recall what the real disruptive the impetus or driver of disruption was. We all talk about streaming, but now look what they're doing. They're becoming a friggin' studio. And their economics are becoming more like a studio.
And why did they do that? Because I don't want to say you've run out of gas. Like, you had the idea, streaming, you did it, you've implemented it, you're doing it very well. And now everyone's copying you, and everybody's doing a Me Too thing.
Easy to do.
And so you're like, okay, what we did now is not good enough. What's the next level we got to do? Oh, we're going to have to start creating our own content instead of buying content from other providers.
Yeah.
And I almost feel like, if you guys think about it, how many different subscriptions do you have, streaming subscriptions? I almost feel we might go right back to where we were, where there's going to be some consolidator who says, you know what, come to us, we'll get you Hulu, we'll get you Amazon, we'll get you Netflix, we'll get you HBO, Disney, whatever, and we'll manage it all for you. And because we're getting to the point to where we have so many quantity wise, I think we'll probably get right back to the point to where we'll have somebody's consolidating in it, and we're right back at where we were, but we're, instead of it being beamed to our house, we're streaming it through the internet. So it's just, to me, I feel like we'll come.
Yeah. But speaking of
that kind of exists already, right? That kind of exists already, whether or not people elect to notice it. But IPTV kind of does all of that.
Yeah,
I mean, you can get
you're right.
through IPTV,
certain
you can get it all.
TVs will build in, right? They'll build it in. But you think about it though, when you buy a new TV, your old TV already has everything logged in. You're like, crap, now I got to log into everything. But they're making it easy where it's integrated with your phone, so you can just put in a code and it feeds it, right? So that's making that experience a lot easier, because no one wants to use their remote control to type. It's like annoying, right? Yeah. But they're starting to figure out some of these little experiences that are annoying, and they're quickly making it easier. So I'm like, how much easier are they going to make it when you buy a new TV, so you don't have to sit there and input the username and password into every one of your your accounts.
Yeah, and speaking of Apple TV, they also managed to win Best Picture in a record 3 years after starting their streaming service, which is, I mean, you want to talk about, people say that Apple doesn't innovate. Well, yikes. They just, with a small catalog, a focused catalog, they managed to get an Emmy for Ted Lasso, and then now they have an Academy Award with Coda. So they got there first before Amazon, before Netflix. And Amazon, I think, kind of copied Netflix, where I don't know if you guys remember, but back early days of Netflix, most of their content was just it was like the worst stuff, right? It was you would never even really consider subscribing to Netflix, just because there was just so much filler content, like stuff from the 60s, like B movies and friggin' just like weird stuff.
They had the best B movie catalog out there.
And Amazon Prime Video, it's kind of the same way. It's like you have some of the stuff you paid for, and then the free stuff, which is like the monster from 50,000 Phantoms or whatever. It's like, what? This is from like 1930. It's like,
speaking of Apple, real quick, I saw that iMessage was trending. Does anybody know what was going on? Did Apple do something different that allows you to do like pictures or something that was different? I couldn't figure out what it was a few days ago as to why it was trending. Or there was something big about some kind of integration with WhatsApp, or maybe it's the EU requirement.
Oh, maybe it's is it RCS?
I don't know. They pushed back on RCS while
they were.
Android, Google was a big proponent of RCS, but Apple was like, nah. Interoperate, nah. Walled garden, yes.
I can probably say I still don't have an Apple. I still don't have Apple streaming, and I've been holding off. I'm like, that's probably the last one I'll probably get.
One of the best things of having your little Apple TV is the screensavers.
Yeah, those things are cool.
The 4K. No, they're moving. It's like a drone, a video. It's some of the most beautiful things I've heard really like serious people in the past, analysts or people who work for magazines talk about the best thing on Apple TV are these mind-blowing screensavers. Like they're just slowly approaching. It's like when you're done watching a movie or whatever, and it kind of goes to that. It's like slowly approaching the Burj Khalifa there in Dubai at nighttime, and it's amazing. Or approaching Hong Kong, or going over the ocean. I mean, it's gorgeous. It's gorgeous.
You know what? Okay, that made me think about my all my Twitter accounts. Any of you guys noticed that started getting notifications to create your own NFT image?
Yeah.
On Twitter.
Oh my God.
So I'm like, every one of them, I got the alert, and I'm like, I just close it. I don't even know what
so ridiculous.
What that is about.
This is going to be my new NFT thing.
There you go.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to add
and of course, they even use the word blockchain. That it'll be, so it just cracked me up when I saw it.
Triggered.
So. Yeah. Yeah. Let's not. We'll talk about NFTs next week.
I also just want to say how awesome it was hanging out with Bill and Stephanie in Austin.
Oh yeah.
It wasn't long enough. It wasn't long enough.
I know. It was
that was awesome. Yeah.
Yeah.
What'd you guys talk about?
Are you in Houston now?
I'm in Houston. Yeah. Yeah.
We actually solved, quite a bit of problems in the world with that lunch.
We did. Why don't you tell the audience all the problems we solved there, Stephanie? Gee.
That's the secret sauce. That's the
secret. We can't let it go there.
$1 million question.
It was so nice just eating outside and, having some queso dip and some enchiladas. It was just perfect.
Now I'm hungry.
Yeah,
me too. I'm ready. It feels like Texas is the place to be. Am I wrong on that? Or is that?
You're absolutely right.
Okay.
It's Grand Central Station. You got to get here.
Yeah.
Yes. I'm feeling the energy.
I should have bought that place in Austin a long time ago.
Yes. It probably would have been.
That's disruptive right there.
But
yes. Or maybe Dripping Springs is disruptive.
Yes. Yes.
No. Bill Pugh's house is disruptive.
Yeah. I can hardly wait to go just hang out at Bill's house.
Leonard, we decided that we're going to have an IoT Coffee Talk there at Bill's house, and for him to kind of give us the 3D tour, and we video it.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I wonder if we should have
we'll have to find an event. There's a lot more events in Austin these days, so
maybe we should have our own event, the IoT Coffee Talk Summit or something,
What?
in Austin.
You're on to something.
It could happen, and we could have, it could be bigger than South by Southwest.
Yeah.
Or
we can have sponsors, and then we can get them on stage and, give them a hard time.
In fact, it could be a mashup of that stuff combined with Austin City Limits and all that stuff, and maybe some Texas blues guitar going. I know.
A little Robert L.
We can tie it in with South by Southwest.
Oh,
yes.
Yeah. You know what? That's something to think about next year.
All right.
Yeah, let's make it happen. Yeah, let's think about it.
By the way, I'm really excited. My brother, my oldest brother, who I did not grow up with, who I met later in life, he is a big Texas fan. UT. He went there for a few years, and he's a season ticket holder. So I'm super excited because he got us tickets to the Texas-Alabama game. And so my son and I are going with him to that game. And I'm like, I'm already like waiting for football season. It's going to be so much fun.
That's awesome. That is awesome.
Yeah. I think it's a great idea, guys. Wow. I wish I was able to hang out.
You wish you were in Texas, don't you?
Yeah.
It's possible.
See, I was jealous when you were in Barcelona. So we had to do the same thing.
I mean, look, Bill here is living proof. He was in the center of the tech universe, and then he just busted out and moved to Texas.
Yeah.
What was the backstory there, Bill? What's the impetus? Are you seeing a trend?
So it was a couple of things. First off, it was one, having our own company and everything. We were already virtual. The only reason we were really staying in the Bay Area at that time was because pre-pandemic, it was all about building up the brand. smart connections, Bill Pugh, smart city, and all of that, and actually doing things, because I just didn't want to be, making slides and okay, that's it. And that's it. So pandemic hits, my daughter, my two girls are already, in college. My youngest is in private school. And so I was just like, all right, we'll bide our time. Pandemic hits, everything's remote. My wife looks at me and says, why are we still here? You said there's things going on in Texas. And I remember it literally, we flew down, took a look, drove all around. I mean, Round Rock, Georgetown, Leander, Cedar Park, everywhere within a 50-mile radius, and landed in Dripping Springs, which I was like in love with. And I remember telling Stephanie, I'm coming to your area. I'm moving there, because
that's like the gateway. I mean, I know Austin has some hill country, but that's really where it really starts to open up, the hills.
Oh yeah. No, I mean, and all of the beer gardens, all of the distilleries, all of the wineries. You're right next to Fredericksburg. I mean, I swear it's 17 miles from my house to downtown Rainey Street.
Okay.
I mean, 17 miles. There is so much to do here. And then all of a sudden, when I moved here, I hear, IoT World is going to have their event in Austin this year.
Nice.
And then Smart City. I mean, they're having the Smart City conferences, and all of these other conferences are starting to show up. Right, and they're leaving the Bay Area and they're coming to Austin.
I love it. That's great.
Yeah, it's all good stuff. It's all good stuff.
Yeah. Everything's better in Texas.
I'm a witness to that.
People who say that haven't been to San Diego.
Well, wait a minute. I went to school in San Diego.
I do love San Diego. It is just too damn expensive to live there.
What are you talking about? Austin?
Yeah.
Give me a break. Austin's not cheap anymore. When I was going to buy a property in Austin, downtown, that condo cost more than my condo downtown here in San Diego.
That's because that's downtown. But
even
you just gotta move out a little bit.
But you can move out into the desert, middle of the desert here in Southern California, and find places really dirt ass cheap too. But you know what I'm saying? It's like downtown Austin was already very expensive even back then. So. There's a lot of big money going there. Silicon Valley money. People with they don't mind throwing down an extra $100K to buy out that a 2,000 square foot house. To them, they go 100,000, no big deal, and that's what they're doing down here in San Diego.
Yeah.
Yes.
But I mean, San Diego. So San Diego is awesome. I mean, I know that. We were looking at vacation spots, and we were looking at Dana Point.
Yeah. Dana Point, boom.
But Austin, man, the barbecue.
He's laughing at vacation.
So I will be, as I told Leonard, I'm going to, as part of the IoT Coffee Talk World Tour, in 2 weeks, I'll be in San Diego, and then I'll be in La Jolla, and then I'll be in Laguna Beach for about a week at a house. So that's going to be awesome. But
make sure you make a pit stop by UCSD.
I will.
Go take a tour, man.
I've already taken a tour with my kids when we were looking at schools, and I was blown away. I was like, "There's no way you're going to be able to study at this place."
Here's my point. That's
the problem I had
on a tour, so that I can go and see my alma mater and figure out what are some of the new spots, because I haven't been there in so long. I know that it's changed a lot. I haven't been on campus. Yeah,
that's awesome.
It's hard to get studying done.
The idea for IoT Coffee Talk is for us to actually move to some cool venues to have some demonstrations and all be together, right?
Right.
We got to do a couple of maybe some destination IoT Coffee Talks.
I like that.
That would be cool.
That's a good idea. That's awesome.
We'll do that as soon as we get more companies pouring money into Elevate Our Kids. So if you're a corporation that wants to come on our show and have a tough time and, really have a run through the crucible, the gauntlet, right?
Yeah.
The gauntlet.
Just contact Stephanie and then make a donation to elevate our kids, because we still have a huge digital divide that we need to bridge. And
Really big divide.
yeah, right? Hey, guys.
We're going to bring some attention over here in Austin with a lot of that as well, because there's a big focus on that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're all into that. What is that on your hat, Bill? I've been staring at it this whole time.
Oh, that is Tracer. Overwatch.
No.
Okay.
You guys aren't gamers. I mean, I am. And like I said, before I started Smart Connections, I sat at home playing video games at 3 a.m, cursing out 12-year-olds online.
Oh,
that's awesome.
Geez, wow.
Are you on Roblox and
Minecraft? They're 12
Minecraft?
years old now. I used to curse out 8-year-olds.
Hey, you know what?
Oh, yeah,
you can jump on, and if you play Call of Duty, or if you play any of those games like that, you get on there, you can't tell who's who.
That's true.
And I mean, so this is Overwatch.
Awesome.
I play all of those types of games, man.
Yeah.
It's what stimulates the innovation juice.
Yeah, right.
I love that. Much better than playing Asteroids or Defender, I guess.
No,
Hey, wait a minute. Now I do that as well.
Do anybody remember Tempest?
Tempest, yes. Yes. You gotta play those games. Absolutely. It'll be in the game room.
Yeah. Okay, somewhat, by the way, really quickly, sending our prayers to Afzal's wife who got sick, so that's why he didn't show up on our show today. He was going to show up. So, yeah, hopefully she gets well soon. And you got somebody take us out. Bill, you take us out, because you've never done it before. And you
I've never
you got to pay your dues, man.
Hey, look, we appreciate everybody that's watching us, and we hope that you get at least some enjoyment and laughs out of the tech talk that we provide. I mean, IoT Coffee Talk, I've been a fan of it. Now I'm on it. You need to hit that button that says like, subscribe. Let's go. We're going to bring you a whole bunch of new content coming up. And for that, we're out.
IoTCoffeeTalk.com.
I'm dropping the virtual mic. Doom.
That's it. Drop it.
Take care,
Bye, guys.
Bye, y'all.
All right.